Welcome back to another custom-tailored deep dive.
Mm.
If you are joining us right now, you are probably someone who loves looking past the surface of things.
Oh, definitely. That is why we are here.
Right.
Mm.
You hear a massive pop song on the radio, you hum along, maybe tap your steering wheel a bit, but a part of you also wonders, like, what is the actual story behind this 3-minute cultural phenomenon?
And today we have an absolute perfect case study for that exact question.
We really do. We are diving into Katy Perry's 2012 mega hit, Part of Me.
It is such a remarkable story to pull apart because on the surface, Part of Me is just this colossal, inescapable pop anthem.
Inescapable is definitely the word for it.
Right. So just to set the stage with some baseline facts, it dropped on February 13th, 2012, and it served as the lead single for the reissue of her third studio album, which was titled Teenage Dream: The Complete Confection.
And the song absolutely exploded the second it hit the airwaves.
Exploded is an understatement.
Right.
It went on to become the 20th song in the entire history of the Billboard Hot 100 to debut straight at #1.
Which is wild.
It really is. Debuting at #1 is a completely different beast than just climbing the charts over time. It means the cultural anticipation was already at a boiling point before anyone had even heard the final mix.
Yeah, but the journey to get to that top spot was anything but a straight line.
Not at all.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission for this deep dive is to explore exactly how a leftover shelved track transformed into a record-breaking cultural flashpoint.
A massive flashpoint.
Yeah, a flashpoint that somehow managed to spark intense debates about feminism, about military propaganda, and even theology.
It just proves that pop music is rarely as simple as a catchy hook.
Exactly. There is an entire world of strategy and timing and public perception wrapped up in those beats.
So to really understand the DNA of Part of Me, we have to rewind the clock quite a bit. We have to go back 2 full years before it officially took over the radio, back to early 2010.
Right when Perry was in the thick of the writing sessions for the original Teenage Dream album.
Yeah.
And I know she was collaborating with some absolute heavyweights in the pop music world at that time. We are talking about hit makers like Dr. Luke Max Martin and Bonnie McKee. So what did the actual writing process look like for this specific track?
It was incredibly intense. They were working out of a Conway recording studios in Hollywood and playback recording studios up in Santa Barbara. And the creative energy in those rooms was just producing massive, generation-defining hits.
Like California Girls and Firework.
Exactly. So Perry had this casual friendship with Bonnie McKee, and she brought her in to help flesh out a concept she was calling Part of Me.
Okay.
And McKee actually ended up staying like all night writing the lyrics, trying to perfectly capture the vibe Perry was going for.
Wow, all night.
Yeah, all night. So the next day, McKee presents the song to Perry. And Perry listens to just the third line of the song.
Just the third line.
Just the third line. She stops and is so incredibly thrilled by what she hears that she literally shouts, "We're buying you a car."
Huh. That is the ultimate validation. You write 3 lines of music and someone offers you a vehicle.
Right, it is the dream scenario.
But here is the part that blows my mind. You have this undeniable banger, a song you love so much, you're screaming about buying cars, and then it just disappears. Why didn't it make the album?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the decision to shelve the track was purely structural.
What do you mean by structural?
Well, Perry made a very deliberate and honestly somewhat ruthless editorial choice. She felt the song, despite its obvious potential, just didn't fit the overall composition of that specific album.
Interesting.
Yeah, she wanted the original Teenage Dream record to be a, quote, nice, complete package. Adding Part of Me would have meant removing another track to make it fit.
And she wasn't willing to compromise the sonic flow of the album she had envisioned.
Exactly.
That is an incredibly tough call for an artist to make. To just put a guaranteed hit in a drawer for the sake of album aesthetics.
Very tough.
But the internet never lets anything stay hidden forever.
Oh, definitely not.
In December of 2010, a full demo of the track somehow leaked online. And fans obviously went into overdrive. The rumor mill started churning with everyone guessing it was a leftover cut.
Yeah.
And basically praying for a re-release.
And it sat in that leaked, unofficial limbo until 2012, when it finally got a reworked production, tweaked lyrics, and an official release.
And ironically, that polished final version leaked again just 2 days before its massive official premiere.
The music industry can be incredibly chaotic to manage.
It really can.
Hmm.
But, it makes you think about your own life, especially for you listening right now. Have you ever had a brilliant idea maybe a massive project at work, or a creative endeavor, or a big personal leap, but the timing just felt entirely wrong.
Oh, yeah, we have all been there.
Right, you knew the idea was golden, but the environment simply wasn't ready to support it. This song is the ultimate example of trusting the timing of your work.
It really is.
If Perry had forced it onto the original album, it might have been completely overshadowed by California Girls. By waiting 2 years, she gave it the space to become a phenomenon of its own.
The timing aspect is crucial, because when it finally did drop, the musical anatomy of the final product was perfectly engineered for that exact cultural moment.
Let's talk about that sound.
Yeah, if we break down the sound, part of me is categorized as a blend of dance pop and power pop with really aggressive electropop elements. It is driven by a very distinctive house beat, which gives it that relentless club energy.
It never really lets up.
No, it doesn't. But the genius is in the composition itself. It is written in the key of D minor, and it operates at a blistering 130 beats per minute.
Wow, 130. That tempo literally forces your heart rate up. It makes you want to move.
Exactly.
And it creates this incredible friction with the lyrical arc, because you mentioned it is in D minor, which is traditionally a very sad, somber key. And the song starts off remarkably down. Perry delivers those opening lines feeling totally defeated. Days like this, I want to drive away, pack my bags, and watch your shadow fade.
The musicality perfectly mirrors that emotional journey. It starts in that somber D minor space, but the chord progression actually shifts during the bridge.
Yeah.
It moves out of that initial melancholy and builds into something much more urgent.
The beat just amplifies, and she issues this sudden, really aggressive command. Now look at me.
Yes, it is this massive turning point in the track.
And then it absolutely explodes at the chorus where she declares herself totally unbreakable.
Yeah.
This is the part of me that you're never going to ever take away from me.
And later on, she gets even more pointed, telling this ex-Sophia, and like, you can keep the diamond ring. It don't mean nothing anyway.
Oh, man. That specific lyric about the diamond ring is exactly what threw gasoline on the rumor mill fire in 2012.
You have to remember the context of Perry's life at that exact moment.
Right. She had very recently gone through a highly publicized, very messy divorce from Russell Brand.
So naturally, millions of fans and the entire global entertainment media immediately assumed these newly tweaked lyrics were a direct pointed dig at her ex-husband. They assumed she was writing a real-time revenge anthem.
I mean, it seemed so obvious. The timing lined up way too perfectly. But she pushed back on that narrative almost immediately, didn't she?
She did. She used a very strict timeline defense.
Okay.
She pointed out that she had written the core of the song, including that defiant chorus, 2 full years prior, long before the marriage ended.
Right back in those 2010 sessions.
Exactly. She gave this wonderfully candid quote saying, I'm not a dick, I'm going to tell the truth.
I love that.
She openly acknowledged that PR people and industry insiders suggested she should just play along and pretend she wrote it a couple of weeks ago.
Because it would have been brilliant marketing to capitalize on the tabloid cycle.
Oh, absolutely. But she refused to pretend it was a fresh reaction to her divorce.
That takes a lot of integrity, honestly.
It really does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is a brilliant example of how pop music serves as a blank canvas. An artist's previous work can completely change meaning based on their current public life.
So true.
The art itself remained largely the same, a song about a bad breakup written in 2010, but the audience's interpretation of it was entirely filtered through the lens of 2012 tabloid headlines.
The cultural context shifted around the song, even if the core creation didn't change at all.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because while the public was entirely consumed by the gossip and the empowerment of the chorus, the music critics were sharply divided on the actual quality of the track.
It was definitely not a unanimous critical darling.
Far from it. The critical reception was a fascinating split between reviewers who embraced its pure, unadulterated pop joy and those who found the entire thing entirely formulaic.
For instance, the AV Club was fairly positive.
Yeah, they praised the production. They specifically called the chorus pretty damn sticky.
Sticky is a great word for it. They acknowledged it followed a familiar pop formula, but argued it worked perfectly as a breakup anthem. They even compared it favorably to Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone, calling it a chintzier 2012 version of that same vibe.
High praise for a pop song. But then you have the legacy magazines who were not impressed at all.
Right. Rolling Stone gave it 3 out of 5 stars and mostly dismissed it as just plain predictable. And then you had the British music tastemakers over at NME who were genuinely harsh. They completely panned the track, specifically criticizing what they described as her strange, angry robot voice.
Strange, angry robot voice.
Ah.
It's always funny to see how seriously music critics take a song designed for a dance floor.
They can be brutal.
But the most unexpected critique didn't come from a music magazine or a pop culture blog. It came from the Christian organization Focus on the Family.
Yes, this is a wild turn.
Their critique was a full-blown moral panic over the thematic elements.
They didn't care at all about the pulsing house beats provided by Max Martin and Dr. Luke. They cared about the perceived message.
Right, because they argued that since the song was being framed by the public around her divorce, it put a somber and serious spin on the music.
To them, it wasn't an empowering anthem about finding yourself after a breakup. They viewed it as celebrating the demolition of a marital covenant.
Demolition of a marital covenant.
Yeah. They felt that no matter how cathartic or upbeat the music was, the underlying reality of a dissolved marriage was fundamentally sad, and turning it into a club banger was sending the wrong message to her younger fans.
It is wild to think about a 130 beat per minute track sparking a theological debate about marital covenants.
It really is.
But honestly, that is nothing compared to the massive controversy that erupted when the music video dropped. The visuals took the song in a direction literally no one saw coming.
Directed by Ben Moore.
Right. And the video completely avoids the typical pop star breakup cliches. We see Perry catching her boyfriend flirting with a coworker at his office. She breaks up with him, storms out in a rage, and while she is standing at a gas station, she sees a bumper sticker that says, "All women are created equal, then some become Marines."
And on a pure impulse, she decides to enlist.
The visual transformation she undergoes is striking. She walks into a grimy restroom, tearfully hacks off her long hair with scissors, aggressively flattens her breasts with a wrap, and changes out of her pop star clothes into a drab hoodie and jeans.
It's very dramatic.
From there, the video shifts entirely following her to the United States Marine Corps Camp Pendleton in California for rigorous, basic combat instruction.
And the sheer authenticity of the shoot is what really stands out here.
They didn't build a Hollywood set, right?
No, they didn't. There were absolutely no actors used in this video whatsoever. They only used real active duty Marines and real military equipment.
That is dedication.
She actually underwent vigorous physical training in military basics, firepower, and combat tactics just to prepare for the shoot.
And MTV heavily praised her physical commitment to this role. They noted that plenty of pop stars had done military chic before, like pointing out Rihanna doing it and maybe straddling a tank in a fabulous couture outfit.
Right, making it fashionable.
But MTV loved that Perry actually eschewed makeup, chopped her hair, crawled through the mud, and genuinely looked like she was suffering. They called it a highly commendable level of commitment.
However, this is where things get complicated.
Yes, and now this next part weighs into some heavily political territory. And just as a quick reminder for you listening, we are entirely impartial here. We aren't taking any sides on this issue. We are simply laying out the different arguments that ignited around this music video at the time because the reaction was intense.
Very intense. The primary critique came prominently from feminist author Naomi Wolf. She strongly denounced the music video, labeling it explicitly as military propaganda.
Military propaganda?
Yes. She felt that taking a catchy pop song and marrying it to real-life Marine combat training was a glorification of violence.
Wow.
She was so offended by the imagery and the message she felt it sent to young women that she actually called for a complete global boycott of Katy Perry.
That is a massive escalation from a simple music video release. A global boycott.
It was a huge statement.
But not everyone saw it that way. Glenn Seelig, the founder of the publicity agency, offered a very different perspective. He argued that Naomi Wolf's calls for a boycott backfired entirely and just brought millions more eyeballs to the video.
Which often happens with boycotts.
Right. He asserted that without Wolf's political framing, most everyday viewers would have clearly seen the military setting simply as a visual metaphor for personal strength and resilience, rather than a literal government-sponsored attempt to glamorize war.
And as for the artist herself, Perry defended the concept quite simply. She stated in an MTV interview that she chose the military plot because she wanted to represent the song in the strongest, most visual way possible.
She didn't view it as political at all.
No, she just called the concept an affirmation of strength.
So you have this incredible, chaotic swirl of activity surrounding this one 3-minute piece of music. You have a leaked demo turned into a polished, single, intense divorce rumors, sharply mixed critical reviews, theological concerns, and a music video generating literal boycott calls from feminist authors, over military propaganda.
It is a lot of noise.
It is deafening noise. With all of that, you might wonder how the song actually performed when it came to people just opening their wallets.
Well, commercially, it was an absolute juggernaut.
Let's hear the numbers.
The numbers are staggering to look back on. In the United States alone, Part of Me sold 411,000 copies in its very first week.
411,000 copies in 1 week.
That massive surge is exactly what propelled it to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It eventually went 5 times platinum in the U.S., meaning it moved over 5 million units.
Incredible.
But it was a massive global phenomenon, too. It went diamond in Brazil. It topped the charts in the UK, Canada, and Bulgaria. And in New Zealand, it was her 7th #1 hit, which tied her with Mariah Carey for the most #1 hits in that country's history.
Tying Mariah Carey is legendary stuff. Those are career-defining numbers. And Perry really capitalized on that success by turning the live performances of this song into these massive, elaborate theatrical spectacles.
She didn't just stand at a microphone stand.
Oh, no. At the 2012 Grammys, she pulled off this incredible visual fake-out. The performance started with her singing E.T., and suddenly it looked like there were technical difficulties. The audio cuts, the stage goes pitch black. Then slowly, a blue-haired Perry descends from the ceiling in a transparent cube wearing this gleaming golden armor.
It looked amazing.
But the trick was, the person standing on the dark stage below was actually a body double. Suddenly, the real Perry shatters the cube from the inside, massive pyrotechnics go off, and she launches straight into Part of Me.
It was brilliant. She consistently escalated the production value whenever she played it. Like for her performance on season 11 of American Idol, she did a simulated high-altitude airdrop onto a massive military base set surrounded by an army of female background dancers in full tactical gear.
And you cannot forget the premiere of her 3D autobiographical documentary film, which was also titled Katy Perry, Part of Me.
Oh, the Hollywood Boulevard performance.
Yes. She literally shut down Hollywood Boulevard for a live performance. She emerged from a giant 2-story box of popcorn wearing a custom shirt that looked like a spinning film reel on a stage, completely decked out with neon lights and life-size lollipops.
It was the absolute pinnacle of pure pop spectacle.
It really was. Although it is worth noting that years later she proved the song could work beautifully without all the bells, whistles, and pyrotechnics.
Yeah, it is true.
In 2017, she performed a very stripped-down, highly emotional, acoustic rendition of the song at the One Love Manchester benefit concert.
And it still held up perfectly. The song also enjoyed massive brand synergy, permeating various unrelated corners of pop culture. It was featured heavily in a national marketing campaign for the Sims 3 Showtime video game, where players could even play as a sim version of Katy Perry, complete with her stage outfits.
I remember that.
Pepsi used the pulsing track as the backdrop for their global Live for Now advertising campaign. It was included as downloadable content for the incredibly popular Just Dance video game series.
They were everywhere.
And amidst all this commercial success and corporate synergy, Perry announced that all the profits raised from the sales of the single would be donated directly to the charity MusiCares.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Yeah, supporting musicians in times of financial and medical need.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive with the song written way back in 2010 that was quite literally left on the cutting room floor because it didn't fit the vibe of a record.
It means that the trajectory of pop music is incredibly complex and largely unpredictable.
Very unpredictable.
Part of Me is a testament to how raw, undeniable pop craftsmanship, the kind engineered by savants like Max Martin and Dr. Luke, combined with very specific patient timing, can elevate a discarded demo into a certified diamond hit.
And on a deeper level, it shows how a massive pop song becomes a blank canvas for society.
Yes.
For the general public, it was a canvas to project gossip about her high-profile divorce. For cultural critics and authors, it became a lightning rod for intense political debates regarding military imagery, feminism, and marital values.
A song is never just a song once millions of people hear it.
It really is a fascinating journey. Thank you so much for coming along on this deep dive with us today. We love taking these topics and really exploring the layers beneath the surface, looking past the radio edits and the tabloids, and we are so glad you were here to unpack the history of this massive track with us.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, this raises an important question for you to consider. When an artist releases a piece of work years after they originally created it, who truly owns the meaning of that art? Is the song forever defined by the creator's original intent in a vocal booth back in 2010? Or is the true meaning defined by the audience's reality, their projections, and the cultural context of the exact moment it hits their ears? Something to think about next time you catch a throwback playing on the radio.